He doesn't have to say any of this. He could say, I'm the champ 4 times, I'm repeating next year, bring it! But instead of that, he makes a video and opens up and shows us his true vulnerabilities. Coach Greg, and in today's video, Chris Bumstead reveals just how bad his torn bicep really is. And so as you can see from the photos, there is some serious swelling taking place. And so the actual tear, its location is at the muscle belly. That means towards the center of the arm in the actual muscle, not at the tendon. And so he's not going to get surgery. The doctors say it takes 6 to 10 weeks. And so for Chris, very lucky he does not need surgery. And so how exactly did Chris tear his bicep? Well, he doesn't even know. But I can tell you this, when you're dehydrating, taking PDs to dry out for a show such as this, you're at your greatest susceptibility for getting an injury. And that he did. He states it occurred about 3 days out as he was trying to make weight, and so most likely it was at his most depleted, his most dehydrated, likely while going through the poses. Remember, Chris is posing every single day, and he's not doing heavy workouts. And so looking back, just think of how foolish it was for Chris and Caleb von Moger to attempt that 405-pound team barbell curl. And so remember, injuries like this can happen to anyone. Chris does not even remember how it occurred. He likely wasn't training and just going through some poses. And so please be careful. You never know when you could potentially get injured. And speaking to just how hard it is for contest prep, Chris, after the Olympia, got sick. It led to getting bronchitis. And he's taken the entire month off of training, hardly doing anything. And if you don't think bodybuilding is one of the most difficult sports in the world, consider the Mr. Olympia champ Chris Bumstead had to take an entire month off. He's injuring his bicep, getting sick, unable to train, waiting to recover. And he's only in his mid-20s. Imagine what's going to happen as he gets older.
But it got in my head and it stressed me out. And I want to kind of more talk about the mental side that I kind of battled through, because I like talking about the mental side of things.
And so what I want to explain in this video is that there's more to bodybuilding than the physical. You're thinking, oh my goodness, the diet, the training, it's so hard. But in reality, it's the mental side of it that's actually much harder. And Chris, he does an excellent job of describing exactly how he feels as he processes what's going on. And think of it, he spent the entire year, over 1,000 hours, preparing for this very moment. And only days prior, he tears his bicep. And so that gets in his head. He's thinking, why me? Why now? I've worked so hard for this. And as he got up on stage, you could see in his face, there's something wrong. And Hanny Rambod, his coach, he could see it. He went up to Chris following the show and said, what's going on? What the cookbook? Come on, Chris. You're here to win the show. You look amazing. Time to own it. And Chris, struggling to be present in the moment, all he could think of is, what are they going to say about my bicep? Are they going to see the swelling? Are they going to mark me down? Am I possibly going to lose the title?
And I still felt like confident. My physique was great, but I kept just thinking that, like, here's this great physique I've built, probably the greatest package I've ever bought to stage, but my arm.
And so let that be a lesson to you. Chris Bumstead, with arguably the best physique in the entire world, he's not thinking of all his strengths, his conditioning, his balance, his overall aesthetics. He's thinking of one tiny weakness that hardly anyone can see. And so what you have to realize is this. Why worry about things out of your control? He can't control that he's got an injury. What he can control is how he looks and how he presents himself on stage. And it reminds me of a book I read over 25 years ago, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. If it's inside your circle of concern, but outside your circle of influence, then why worry about it? Is worrying about his torn bicep and panicking about what the audience is going to think, are the judges going to mark him down? Is that going to help him in the slightest? Of course not. And so why worry about it? Worry about what you can do right now. How can you hit the pose without showing it the most? Can you look confident? Can you hit the pose the way it was supposed to be? Don't worry about what other people are thinking. You can't control what they're thinking. You can't control what your opponents are doing. What you can control is what you're doing in that very moment. And worrying about things you can't change, what good is that?
And I'm someone who was super shy and quiet and hated crowds and got anxious being in front of people, let alone speaking or posing when I was younger, but I built the skill to be able to be present.
And as Chris points out, this is a skill that you develop over time. No different than learning to do a basketball free throw, learning to read or write. Being able to present yourself to an audience, to have confidence, is something you can practice. It's something you can work on. And so just because you were shy, you don't know what to say or do, doesn't mean you can't develop that skill and get better at it over time. Chris, he himself says, I was a shy kid. I didn't like standing in front of a crowd. He was not born to be popular, but yet here it is. He was given a gift and he did the absolute best he could with it. And what did that lead to? It led to 4 straight Mr. Olympia titles.
I really enjoy the moment on stage at the Olympia, and that's why I love the Olympia so much.
And as I always say, it's about the journey, not the destination. What fun is there in winning the Olympia if you don't enjoy the moments? And so you have to make the most of all of it. He's putting his body through so much, and if he can't enjoy the entire experience, what's the point? And so imagine if he got to Olympia, had the torn arm, and the entire weekend was crying sad, boo-hoo, poor me. And so rather than that, you think, yeah, well, it could be worse. I could have torn it off the bone. I could be in a cast right now. But no, I'm competing, and I'm here to win this Olympia.
So all this pressure, the expectation, is shit going on in my head, and then this torn bicep that's kind of causing my brain to just like focus not where I want it to be focused on.
And so one thing I really want to stress home, and that Chris talks about, is the feeling of pressure. All too often, the better you get at something, the more self-imposed pressure you put on yourself to be the best that you can be. This is a common trait I've noticed among almost everyone. The better you get at something, the more you're worried. What will people think? I have to be the best or else. I need to make the most money, get the most followers, have the best videos, date the hottest girls, say the best thing, have the leanest physique, look the best, be perfect. All of that is self-imposed pressure. No one expects this of us. We're not forced to act a certain way, to say specific things, to be perfect. But yet we think we are. We think others demand this of us. And so what really helped me was when I learned to stop giving a shit about what other people think of you. There will always be thousands, if not millions, of opinions on what you should say, believe, think, act like, respond to. But there's only one opinion that really matters. And that's yours. What do you think about yourself? Are you happy? Are you being your true, authentic self? Because if you are, you're the champion. Doesn't matter if you have 1 million followers or 1. What good is 1 million followers if you're not happy with yourself? Oh, you pleased the millions of fans, but you yourself are not happy. And so I'm sure Chris Bumstead would trade his 14+ million followers in order to just he himself be happy about what he's accomplished. To be proud of what he says and what he stands for. And I am certain that he does. I can tell by the way he speaks, the way he's being honest and open and being vulnerable to all of us, saying exactly how he felt. I went in the mirror and started crying. I was thinking about this. I felt bad about that. He doesn't have to say any of this. He could say, I'm the champ 4 times. I'm repeating next year. Bring it. But instead of that, he makes a video and opens up and shows us his true vulnerabilities. And that makes him 10 times more relatable than anyone. And so it's no wonder Chris is so popular. Why wouldn't he be? Is this not what you want from someone as famous and as popular as Chris Bumstead? To truly know him, to truly feel how he feels. And so sure, millions of people want to look like Chris Bumstead. He has an amazing physique, but what's better than physique is his mindset. What can we learn from Chris mentally to help in our own lives?
I remember Hani even came up to me like, what the fuck are you doing? And I was like, what do you mean? And he's like, smile up there, man. Like, you look fucking crazy. You look great. Like, you're crushing it. Like, just be up there, smile, enjoy it.
And so what we can learn is to enjoy the moment and be proud of ourselves and stop worrying about the shit that we cannot control. If it's outside our circle of influence, why are we stressed about it? Worry about the things you can control and forget the rest. You can't control how people will look at you. You can't control if guys, girls in circles will find you attractive. They may or may not like your personality. They may not like your height. Oh, you're a manlet. Oh, you're overweight. Oh, you're underweight. Oh, I don't like the color of your skin. Oh, your voice is horrible. So what? You can't control what they will say, think, or do. But what you can control is to be proactive about yourself. Can you eat healthy? Can you exercise? Can you be a good person? Can you do the things that you need to do to make you happy?
There's even 2 ways to look at my bicep alone. Like, I tore it, yeah, but I mean, It could have been way more torn. It could have been fucking black and blue and huge.
And so any situation that presents itself, you can look at it from a positive or negative point of view. Well, if you're negative, oh my goodness, poor me, I tore my bicep. If you're positive, wow, lucky it's only a partial tear. It's only 3 days before the show. I don't need to train anymore. And so I made it. I can pull it off. And so if you want to be happy, truly happy in this world, try and see everything from the positive. If every situation that presents itself, you're thinking all the negative, well, of course you're going to be unhappy. Rather than that, think, what is the best case scenario from this? And that is something that you can choose to do.
I was going to make this video earlier, like I said, and I didn't even realize how many people were talking about my torn bicep because I muted all bodybuilding pages before the Olympia.
And so one other thing I'd like to mention is that Chris muted all social media as he was preparing for the Olympia, as he wanted to get in the right mindset. He didn't want to be distracted about what are people talking about, what are people saying. And so he had no idea that many people are discussing what happened to his arm and so on. And so I'm sure many of you can relate to getting an injury, and during that time that you're injured, you're very likely not going to be able to train harder than last time. But if you've got a torn bicep, injured shoulder, does not mean you need to stop doing your cardio. And so one supplement I highly recommend, GO2 Max. You can take it every single day. And so just because you have one injury doesn't mean you should give up. Consider I've broken my elbows not once but twice, had surgery to reattach the tricep on both of my arms, and so I've had to go months without being able to properly train my arm. But I didn't give up. I kept doing cardio. I kept training my other body parts. And so with GO2 Max, you can improve your cardio, and when you get back to lifting weights, you won't be as out of shape as you thought. If you simply get an injury like break your elbow and you take 3 complete months off the gym, you're not lifting weights, not doing cardio, what do you think is going to happen to your physique? And what do you think will happen to the most important muscle in your body? Not the biceps. Chris could tear his bicep. Do you know what's way more important? The heart. And so please do not give up on cardio. Try to continue to do that. Obviously, talk to your doctor. Make sure it's okay. But if you can, please continue to do cardio. And I'm not saying hit cardio, steady state zone 2 cardio at a moderate pace. If you can do that, you'll feel much better about yourself. You won't gain as much fat. You'll be in better shape, and it'll make it much easier to transition back to lifting weights once you're able to do so. Looking for the GO2 Max or any HTLT supplements, click the link in the description. Use code Greg. It's going to save you 10% off. Subscribe. Click the bell button. That's right. Do it now. Subscribe. Bell button, comment for the algorithm, like the video if you liked it. Do me that favor, like the video, it helps the algorithm. Watch one of the bloops, and don't forget, I have cookbooks, training books, the Circle Diet book. I also do coaching plans with me and my team. Follow me on the Instagram, Greg Doucette IP Pro, and until next time, I am out.